Hi, I'm Darren, and this is AutoAtlantica. Right then, Jim. So let's have a look at some of the projects that you're working on
Okay.
right now. So we'll start with the stuff that's higher up at the moment. So we got this wonderful Spitfire 1500, which was one of the later cars. The Spitfire used the standard SC engine. That was a standard Triumph developed engine. It was initially a 1300,
Right.
and then they went to the 1500.
Mm-hmm.
Those engines were used in the Dolomite sedan, which didn't get over here, which
Right,
I wish they did, because that was a damn good car.
Yeah, I always liked that.
There's one or two that are over here, because the bigger ones use the slant fours.
Yeah.
And there is a Dolomite Sprint that I know of that's out in New Mexico, actually. Wonderful car. Really, that was one of the infuriating things about BL, is why they didn't develop that car more, because it really was a true rival to BMW.
Yeah.
At the time. But anyway, so this is a 1500. It's a later one. So what are you doing on this car? Because that exhaust system doesn't look stock.
No, it's not. It's got a header on it. Actually, it's got 4 carburetors on it that are from a motorcycle, and the owner had a special intake manifold built for it. But what we're doing to it, he wanted to convert it from the standard 4-speed to an overdrive 4-speed.
Okay.
So we put an overdrive in it, and the rear main seal was leaking. So while we had transmission out, we did the rear main seal and sealed up the oil pan.
Yeah.
And a few other little odds and ends he had that were problems. But it's a very nice car, very clean car.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't drive it very much, but I think after we've finished up everything here, he may be a little more ready to drive.
Clean as a whistle underneath.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting when this is up on the lift. You can see what manufacturers were dealing with the US regulations, with these bumper regulations, because see how that is all sort of like actually attached to the frame of the car.
Rail, right.
You know, it was quite ungainly, these big overriders, but that's what they had to do.
Yeah.
And
of course, a lot of the cars, they had to raise the height, the ride height of the car.
Which they did with the MGB.
MGB did that, yeah.
Because the headlights.
Right.
So they just raised the height of the car. BL, that's BL for you.
Yeah.
But that's absolutely wonderful. And then next to it, we got a Jaguar XK140, probably from the late 50s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Timeless design, beautiful car.
Yeah. Yes.
And what's going on with this one?
Well, we got this car. The owner had it dismantled by a shop, and they painted it. It was a body shop, basically. They painted it. It was supposed to be put back together. In the interim, while the car was being done, we rebuilt the engine and the transmission. And our job was to put the engine transmission in the car when it came back and run it out the door. Well, when it came to us, it was a bare car. It was painted. Nothing was together on it. It was a roller on 4 wheels and boxes and boxes of parts. Wow. So we've been putting it together, the wiring harnesses in it. Bumpers are on, the engine's in, transmission's in, exhaust system. We've had the engine running in the chassis. So we're in the process now of upholstery and glass and that sort of thing to get it finished up and together. So it's kind of been,
I know you've had that a while.
Project.
Yeah.
It's difficult when someone else takes a car apart and you've got boxes of parts and you're not sure what is where in the box, and you go through the box. Oh yeah, this is for here. We'll put it over there. Next box, yeah, this is for here. So it takes a while just to get through the bits and pieces to get enough to put it together.
This is what fascinates me with a business like yours, Jim, is that with the kind of variety of work that you do, from like a simple repair to a partial restoration to a full restoration, how does that, the way that this industry's changed over the years, and you had to keep up with that. Plus, you've got, it must take time to decide what you're going to need. And do you try and get like new old stock where you can, or do you rely on patent parts a lot, or how does that work?
Well, new old stock, if you can find it, is always the best.
Yeah.
but that's not always possible.
No.
So there's a lot of companies out there that are doing reproduction parts for these cars.
Yeah.
So we've kind of known that, certain guys do the early T-Series cars, and certain companies do the older Jaguars, and we kind of, got our distributors and suppliers in order. And so most of the time that we're in pretty good shape. We know we got a Jaguar and we need this, this, and this, then we'll make a few phone calls to the people that have been able to supply it and try and go with them.
Now,
it's been working out well.
With some parts, like with plastic composites and things like that, are 3D printed parts coming in?
We haven't gotten into that yet,
right?
But they might come to that that point.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
because I've got a 94 XJS with the headlamp washers, and those headlamp wash covers, which is just a chrome plastic cover, not the same as the previous generation bumpers, even though they look the same. And trying to get hold, I've only got one. I'm missing one, and it's almost impossible. I've only, since I've had that car, I found the guy with one of each, and he wanted like $800 for each side. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And that's where I think where the 3D printed stuff would probably work. So and unless you've got a secret stash, we'll talk later. But anyway, so that's those two. So we've got more MGs here than Abingdon. Let's take a look around these MGs, because it is just, well, it's amazing. It's just TD.
It's TD here.
TD, which was early 50s.
50 to about 53.
53 for
because
he went through the TF was the last before the MGA.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So yes. And these, of course, are all on separate frames.
Yes, they had a frame.
Yeah.
And still, the TDs still had a lot of wood, in the frame around the edges here.
Yeah.
And that part, the back part behind the gas tank is wood, and floorboards are wood.
Amazing. And when you do, so what are you doing with this particular car then?
This one, just the customer's complaint was it wasn't running well, and was overheating, and the overheating problem was a bad thermostat. The not running well was carburetors that were, I think this car sat for a while and the carburetors were sort of gummed up. So we took those apart, cleaned it, and put it back together again, and balanced the carbs and set the timing. And so it runs well now and stays cool. So it's just about ready to go out the door. Yeah,
it's going to go out the door with me at this rate, but that's another matter. It's beautiful. It really is just beautiful. You can see why people, it was always interesting how Americans took this, they just had this love affair with these cars en masse. And and it's, you look at cars like the Mazda MX-5, how it inspired that. Truly inspirational. And you can just sort of like picture, not on a day like today, but picture sort of like with the top down, sort of wind in the hair. It's just absolutely wonderful. But that's lovely. And then we've got another one. This is a TC. This is an early one.
This is a TD as well.
This is TD as well. Okay, that's TC there. This is a TD as well. And this one. So what are you doing with this one? I like the rain cover on it.
It was a list of a lot of little things. The door didn't open and close well, and shocks were shot on the front of it. We haven't done that yet, but
okay,
they're gone.
You can hear they're definitely gone. And
there was a little tuning on the engine, and oil change, and changed the oil and transmission differential. The fellow just bought this not very long ago. So he decided to bring it into us and have us go through it and kind of make sure it was roadworthy. I would imagine
that anybody in the area that buys a car like this or an old Fiat is just going to come to you regardless for their support. Because you're so well known. That's a lovely example. And then we've got some back here that you seem to be doing like more in-depth work on. This is a TC.
This one, Well, the head gasket went bad on it, and they continued to drive it, got water in the oil, and then it damaged the crankshaft. So
Right.
the engine is out for a total rebuild on it.
Right.
We had
Right.
the crank ground on it. The block is at the machine shop right now being overboard, and we'll recondition the rods and probably new valve guides and a valve drum on it.
Yeah.
Total
How
rebuild.
long do you think a job like this would normally sort of take you?
Probably, this will probably end up being about 3 months.
Yeah.
And we should be
Yeah.
done with it.
Yeah.
We're hoping to have it finished here when the real driving season comes in.
Yes.
In,
Once it
in
stops
June.
raining.
Yeah, when it quits raining.
Again, it's a beautiful example.
Yeah.
It really is. And then you've got a TA.
This is a TD also back here. This one.
Oh, that's the TA. Let's go on to the TA first. And then, so this one really is an early car, late 30s. 1938.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this one we've redone. We've rebuilt the engine, transmission. Body was off the frame. We repaired some wood in it, and we've repainted the entire car. We're finishing up on the wiring now. It was a little hodgepodge on the wiring because when it came in, it had TD parts on it, TD voltage regulator, TD fuse box. So the wiring harness has been kind of a mate between a TA and a TD, and so it took us a little more time to get it going, but we've got everything working now. All the lights work, the generator works, the starter works.
Of course, you'd
brake
be a
lights
generator in those days.
Yeah.
Is it a 6-volt system?
No, 12
No, it is
volt.
12-volt system.
The surprising part is that even back in the 38 cars, they had 12-volt systems, which is strange because when the TDs started to come over here with 12 volts, that was really a surprise to us because all the domestics were in that time.
I know the Chrysler's were 6 volts, for instance. Yeah. Just look at those carburetors on the side. It's a work of art, isn't it? Really,
those are early SU carburetors. The bodies are actually cast from brass.
Are they really?
Aluminum, yeah.
The engineering and the skill that just went into putting the car before robots ruled the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely tremendous. So is this your car or is it a customer's car?
No, it's a customer's
car. It is a
car.
customer's car. Okay. Wow. They're going to have something to be proud of when that's finished. That's for sure. And then back here, we've got another
TD.
TD.
Yeah, this one is set up
for racing.
Right,
yeah. I can see from the headlight covers.
This is run at Pittsburgh.
This is going to be at the Grand Prix.
It'll be at the Grand Prix. He's run the Grand Prix with it in the past. He's won it a number of
Watkins
years.
Glen as well.
Yeah, he's run at Watkins Glen. The car runs pretty well. He does well with it driving.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And has it got a racing engine in this?
Yes,
or is it does.
Well, it's a TD engine.
Yeah.
But it's kind of
modified.
Well worked over,
Yeah. And now, do you do this kind of work yourself? If a customer comes in and says to you, Jim, I got this sort of like really boring, bog standard MGTD, as you do. I'd like it sort of breathed over because I want to sort of take it around the track. Is that kind of work that you would do or advise somebody on?
Yeah, we would probably do that.
Yeah. Interesting. So it's what makes this place so cool. It's like a working museum. That's what I love about it. It's tremendous. So, well, Jim, I really want to thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.
And allowing me to sort of like come out and monopolize your Saturday afternoon and for you to talk a bit about the business and the cars that you're working on here and the wonderful work that you do. Guys like this are an absolute gem. And we have to look after businesses like this because, these days, they're fewer and far between, and it's specialists like this that everybody loves. So this is what you like, Mike, the kind of business that Mike Brewer, for instance, would very much flaunt, and rightly so. But anyway, Jim, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
David.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Darren Walker. Oh, this is Jim. I'm Darren Walker, and this is AutoAtlantica.